I used to think I was too old to change the way I ate. Most days, I'd reach for the same familiar meals, sometimes out of habit, sometimes just because they felt comforting. But one quiet afternoon, sitting across the kitchen table from my mother, I realized something that shifted everything. It wasn't a loud realization, more like a quiet nudge from life. A reminder that even the smallest daily choices could quietly shape how we age, or how we fade. My mother is 79 this year. She's been living alone since my father passed nearly a decade ago. Still wakes up before sunrise, walks to the market with her little canvas tote, and cooks what she loves. She especially loves fish. Fish is good for the heart, good for the brain, she always says. And for a long time, I believed her, because everyone says fish is healthy, right? That is, until one morning, she called me. Her voice was soft, almost unsure. She said she'd felt dizzy during the night. Couldn't remember her neighbor's name, the one she sees every day. It shook me. I rushed over, and later we went to see a doctor. Nothing too alarming at first. But then, the doctor said something that stayed with me. As we age, the body's ability to process toxins weakens. And certain types of fish, the ones you think are healthy, could actually be doing quiet harm. I thought back to her weekend fish stews, the grilled fillets we'd share, the smoked mackerel she loved. And I started to wonder, were those meals really helping her, or could they be hurting her in ways none of us saw coming? So I began to read, to research, to ask questions. And what I found left me stunned. Some of the most common, most trusted fish are now considered risky for seniors. Not because they aren't delicious, but because an aging body can't filter out things like mercury or industrial toxins the way it once did. These things linger. They settle into the liver, the brain, the bloodstream. And suddenly, what looked like forgetfulness, or just slowing down, becomes something deeper, more permanent. Maybe you felt the same. Maybe you're someone who's always believed fish was a safe, smart choice. But the truth is, it depends on the fish. And if you're over 60, or caring for someone who is, this is the kind of gentle truth that might just protect your health, or someone you love. I don't want to preach. That's not why I'm here. I just want to tell you what I've learned, through my mother, through friends, through conversations I never thought I'd have. There's a woman I met at a senior yoga class last fall. Her name was Elaine. She was 74, barely 5 feet tall, and always wore this soft cream-colored scarf, even when it was warm outside. She told me about how every weekend, her family came over for dinner, and how she'd always make her signature grilled fish. It was a tradition passed down from her mother. But then one Sunday, Elaine fainted in her kitchen. At the hospital, doctors found elevated mercury levels in her blood. The culprit? King mackerel, the very fish she'd served her family for years. King mackerel. It even sounds majestic, doesn't it? But it turns out, it's one of the worst when it comes to mercury. And mercury is sneaky. You can't see it, taste it, or smell it. But it builds up quietly. Especially in older adults. And over time, it can start to steal things from you, like memory, balance, clarity. Little things, at first. A name. A room you forgot why you walked into. But it grows. I asked Elaine if she missed the dish. She smiled, gentle and bright. At first, yes, she said. But then I realized. I can still love tradition while making better choices. She swapped the king mackerel for wild-caught salmon. Sometimes sardines. You just have to be willing to try, she told me. And I'll never forget the way she looked when she said that, like someone who had chosen herself. Not out of fear, but out of love. That moment taught me something. Aging isn't about clinging to the past. It's about learning how to carry it gently, and knowing when to set it down. So today, I want to share 6 types of fish that many older adults are still eating, but might not realize are doing more harm than good. And I won't just stop there. I'll also share better, safer alternatives, because I believe food shouldn't just feed the body, but nourish the spirit too. Because even in our later years, it's not too late to make loving choices. Not too late to live a little softer, a little clearer. Not too late to care, for ourselves, for the people who raised us, or for the version of us we're still becoming. The first fish on that list, the one that surprised me the most, is one you've probably seen in every seafood market, in family cookouts, even featured on those heart-healthy restaurant menus. It's called king mackerel. And the name alone carries a kind of prestige, doesn't it? Sounds noble. Regal. Something that should belong at the center of a dinner table shared by family. But behind that name is something far less comforting. Let me tell you about Mr. Harold. He lives a few houses down from my mother. I met him one spring afternoon when I was helping Mom repot her gardenias. He shuffled over with a plate wrapped in foil. "She told me you liked fish," he said. "This is my Sunday special, grilled king mackerel with lemon butter. It'll melt in your mouth." He smiled with such pride I could feel it. This wasn't just food, it was his way of giving, of staying useful, of being seen. My mother thanked him, and we all sat outside for a bit. He told us stories from when he was a fisherman down in Florida. Said he'd been eating king mackerel every week for over 40 years. Best fish for the heart, he told us. Never needed a doctor until I turned 70. And then, his voice trailed off. He looked down at his hands, trembling slightly. "But lately, I forget things. I misplace my keys. Sometimes I walk into a room and wonder why I'm there." He paused, then tried to laugh it off. "Guess that's just getting old." But something in me stirred. I'd heard those words before, from my mom, from Elaine, from too many people we love. And while some of it is, yes, just age, not all of it has to be. So I asked him, gently, if he'd ever had his mercury levels checked. He looked at me puzzled. "Mercury? Like the thermometer stuff?" It's easy to forget that we didn't grow up learning about toxins in food. For people like Mr. Harold, fish was the safest thing you could eat, clean, simple, nourishing. No one told him that king mackerel is among the highest mercury fish out there. That over time, eating it regularly is like filling your body with something your liver, kidneys, and brain struggle to get rid of, especially after 60. When you're younger, your body can flush things out faster. But after 60, our organs start working a little slower. They need more kindness. And mercury? It doesn't ask for permission. It settles into the brain and quietly causes damage. It starts small, foggy thinking, poor sleep, unsteady hands. Then it becomes more persistent, memory lapses, confusion, trouble finding the right words. Mr. Harold had never heard this before. He looked stunned. "But it's fish," he said again, like he needed to believe it was still safe. I didn't want to take anything away from him, not his joy, not his identity as the fish guy in the neighborhood. So I shared what Elaine had told me. How she swapped out king mackerel for wild-caught salmon. How she seasoned it the same way, lemon, dill, just a little garlic. How she still made it special, but now it was safer. He listened. He nodded. And a week later, he showed up with a new plate, this time with baked salmon. "Your turn to try my new favorite," he grinned. You see, when we meet people with kindness, when we offer alternatives instead of judgment, they don't feel attacked. They feel empowered. And that's the heart of this story. It's not about fear. It's about love. Quiet, daily love, for our aging bodies, for the people we care for, and even for the younger versions of ourselves who didn't know any better. So what's the better choice? If you've been eating king mackerel or serving it to someone you love, consider these alternatives. Wild-caught Alaskan salmon, it's rich in omega-3 fatty acids that actually support brain function. And it's lower in mercury than most other fish. Plus, it tastes just as good grilled, roasted, or even cold in a salad. Sardines, I know, not everyone loves them at first, but they're tiny and low on the food chain, which means less toxin buildup. They're also affordable, packed with calcium and healthy fats, and great for bone health, especially after 60. But let's be honest, changing something you've done for decades isn't easy. Food isn't just about nutrition. It's about memories. About Sunday dinners and laughter at the table. About what mom used to make when you were sick, or what your husband loved to cook when he still could. And so we hesitate. We hesitate because giving up a dish can feel like giving up a piece of our past. But what if, just what if, choosing better didn't mean letting go of the past, but honoring it in a new way? That's what I told myself when I packed up the king mackerel from my freezer. I thought of Dad, and the way he used to salt the fish just right before placing it on the grill. I whispered a thank you for all the meals we'd shared. And then I let it go. Because love, real love, is not about holding on tightly to old habits. It's about showing up, even now, with gentleness and wisdom. It's about saying, I know better now, so I'll do better. Mr. Harold still cooks every weekend. But now, his menu's a little different. He says he feels sharper, steadier. And he's even got his daughter helping him meal prep now, just in case I forget something, he chuckles. I don't think he'll ever forget again. Because someone took the time to tell him the truth, softly, lovingly. And now I'm telling you. Not because I want to change who you are. But because I believe you deserve to feel good in your own body, at any age. There's a restaurant not far from my mother's house. One of those quiet places with linen napkins, soft piano music, and waiters who remember your name. She likes to go there on her birthday. And every year, without fail, she orders the same dish, the catch of the day. It's white fish, she'd say with a smile, light, easy on the stomach. But last year, as I sat across from her and watched her cut into that delicate, lemon-glazed fillet, something didn't feel right. I asked the waiter, casually, what fish it was that day. He leaned in and said, tilefish. Very fresh. Tilefish. It sounded harmless enough. Even elegant. But my heart sank a little, because I knew what it meant. I'd read about it. Tilefish, especially from the Gulf of Mexico, has some of the highest mercury levels of any fish out there. Even higher than king mackerel. And for older adults, that's not just a detail, it's a danger. I didn't say anything right then. I didn't want to ruin her night. She looked so happy. But later, gently, I told her. And she paused, fork halfway to her mouth. I had no idea, she whispered. I just thought, fish is fish. She's not alone in that. Tilefish is rarely advertised. It often appears under generic labels like white fish or catch of the day. You don't see commercials warning seniors about it. And yet, it can do more damage than people realize. The worst part? Because it's not commonly known, many older folks order it thinking they're choosing something healthy, light, elegant, safe. I once met a woman named Darlene at a local library talk about aging well. She was 68, carried herself with quiet dignity, and told me she'd always been a fish person. Said she'd switched to white fish after her doctor advised her to eat leaner. I have it twice a week, she said proudly. I even get it grilled, not fried. But she'd been feeling tired lately. Foggy. Her balance wasn't what it used to be. She thought it was just aging, just life slowing her down. We talked for a while. When I mentioned tilefish, her brow furrowed. I think that's what's in my freezer, she said softly. She emailed me a week later, it was 4 frozen fillets. She'd bought them in bulk because they were on sale, labeled as white fish. No mention of where they came from. No warning label. Just a quiet risk wrapped in plastic. Here's the truth most people don't know, our bodies change after 60. The same fish we might have handled fine at 30 or 40 can become toxic at 65. The immune system slows. Kidneys strain. And mercury? It doesn't just pass through. It stores. It stays. It settles into the brain, the nerves, the balance centers. And with tilefish, it happens quietly. Memory loss. Confusion. Mood swings. Even tremors that mimic Parkinson's. All potentially triggered by something as small as a few ounces of fish eaten once a week. I remember Darlene's voice when she called to thank me. I thought I was doing everything right, she said. No sugar. Low salt. Lean protein. And yet. She cried that day, not out of fear, but out of frustration. Out of the realization that sometimes, even our best intentions need better information. And that's okay. Because once we know better, we can do better. So what do we do instead? If you enjoy white fish, and many do, there are safer, gentler options. Cod is one of them. It's mild, easy to digest, and very low in mercury. It's especially good baked with a little lemon and herbs. Haddock is another. Slightly firmer in texture, it holds flavor well and works beautifully in soups or casseroles. It's also low in mercury and doesn't carry the same risks tilefish does. And if you're ever dining out, especially at places that serve catch of the day or don't list the specific fish, don't be afraid to ask. You're not being difficult. You're being wise. It's your right to know what's on your plate, especially when your health is on the line. I've learned to ask gently. May I ask which fish this is? Or, do you know if it's tilefish or something similar? Most waiters don't mind. And if they don't know, that in itself is information. Sometimes, choosing better isn't about giving things up, it's about asking one more question. Now, I know not everyone has the luxury of choosing. I know some seniors live on fixed incomes. Sometimes the only fish you can afford is the one that's on sale. And that's where this conversation gets deeper, because it's not just about health. It's about access. About dignity. About feeling like your body still matters, even when you're no longer young. So here's my promise, I'll always try to offer realistic alternatives. Options that work in everyday kitchens, on tight budgets, and in real lives. Because what's the point of advice if it doesn't fit into the world we actually live in? There's a phrase my father used to say, the truth isn't a hammer. It's a lantern. And that's how I try to share these things. Not to scare, not to shame, but to light a path. Because here's what I know for sure, it's never too late to feel better. Never too late to protect your clarity, your steadiness, your independence. Never too late to replace what harms you with what heals you. That night, after dinner with my mother, we sat quietly by the window. She looked out at the street lamps glowing in the dusk, then turned to me and said, maybe next year I'll order the haddock instead. I hear it's good with garlic. I smiled. I'll cook it for you at home, I said. And we sat there, not talking much, just letting the warmth of a simple change settle in. A few years ago, my friend Marianne celebrated her 70th birthday with something special. Her son flew in from Seattle, her daughter brought the grandkids, and they all reserved a table at a beautiful waterfront restaurant, white tablecloths, soft candlelight, laughter echoing through wine glasses. I'm going to treat myself, Marianne told me afterward, with a little grin. I had the swordfish. I nodded and smiled, not wanting to dampen her joy. But inside, I felt that same quiet tug in my chest, the one that comes when you know something others don't, and you're not sure how to say it without sounding dramatic. Because swordfish, while elegant and delicious, carries something beneath the surface that most people don't realize. It's not just about how it tastes, it's about how long it lives. Swordfish are large predators. They live for years, swimming deep in the oceans, eating other fish. And over that time, they absorb everything in the food chain, including mercury. A lot of it. By the time that sleek, flavorful fillet lands on your plate, it's carrying years' worth of toxins. You can't see them. You can't smell them. But your body feels them. Especially after 60. I remember talking to Marianne again a few weeks later. She told me she'd been feeling off, more tired than usual. Her balance felt strange. She'd stumbled getting out of the shower, something that had never happened before. Just aging, she shrugged. What can you do? But I'd heard those words before. And they always made me wonder, how much of what we blame on aging is really aging, and how much is accumulation? Quiet, invisible accumulation from things like swordfish, eaten once or twice a month over years. I didn't want to frighten her. So I told her about a man I once met during a wellness workshop, Mr. Harris, 76. Strong voice, clear eyes, and a love for seafood that went back to his childhood on the coast. Swordfish steak, he said proudly. Grilled rare. I'd been eating it since I was 12. But something had shifted. His hands had started to tremble. His speech felt slower. Doctors ruled out Parkinson's. Ran blood tests. And eventually, they found it, mercury toxicity. His levels were far higher than normal. The culprit wasn't something exotic. It wasn't a chemical spill. It was swordfish. His body had been collecting mercury, quietly, year after year. And now, it was speaking. Not in words, but in symptoms. And no amount of medication could undo the past. He told me he felt betrayed. I did everything right, he said. I ate clean. I exercised. I avoided processed food. But no one told me about this. And that's the hard truth. We're told to eat healthy. We're told fish is good for us. But we're not told that not all fish are equal. And after 60, when your body's defenses have softened, that difference matters more than ever. So let's talk about what swordfish can do, and why. Mercury is a neurotoxin. In high enough levels, it doesn't just make you feel tired, it can actually damage your brain. Your coordination. Your memory. Your mood. For older adults, it can look like dementia, like depression, like confusion. It can mimic diseases that no one suspects are tied to what's on their plate. And here's the part that breaks my heart, you can't cook mercury out. It doesn't matter if it's grilled, baked, steamed, or soaked in lemon juice. The metal stays. And it stays in you. So what's the alternative? If you enjoy the richness of swordfish, that thick, meaty texture, that satisfying taste, you don't have to give it up. You just have to switch lanes. Let me tell you about trout. Specifically, rainbow trout. It's mild, flaky, full of flavor, and best of all, low in mercury. You can season it just like swordfish, serve it with the same sides, and it won't bring the same long-term risk. Another option is pollock. It's gentle on the digestive system, affordable, and can be grilled or baked to mimic that satisfying, steak-like feel. When I introduced these options to Marianne, she laughed. Trout. Isn't that what my dad used to fish for in the river? Yes, I told her. And maybe that's the point. Maybe the best food for us is the kind that comes with stories, not warnings. She made the switch. Not overnight. But slowly. One dinner at a time. And now, every time we eat together, she reminds me, this fish tastes better, not because of flavor, but because it brings peace of mind. And isn't that what we want, at this stage in life? Not just meals that taste good, but meals that feel good afterward. That leave you clearer, not cloudier. Steadier, not weaker. I want to take a moment here and say something very plainly, you are not too old to change. Not too late to swap out the dangerous for the nourishing. Not too late to protect your mind, your body, your independence. Because here's what I've seen again and again, when older adults make even small changes to their eating habits, especially with fish, they start to feel it. They sleep better, think clearer, even move with more ease. And it doesn't have to be dramatic. No fad diets. No harsh restrictions. Just choosing smarter. Loving your body enough to ask, is this really serving me? There's one more thing I want to share, something that stuck with me. Mr. Harris, the gentleman with mercury toxicity, told me that he kept a journal after his diagnosis. Not just about his symptoms, but about what he ate. About what he wished someone had told him sooner. And on one page, he wrote, "The swordfish was never the enemy. It was my silence. My unknowing. My loyalty to an old comfort that had quietly become a threat." That line still moves me. Because it's true for all of us. Sometimes, the things we think are helping, aren't. And the things we're scared to try, like trout instead of swordfish, become the very choices that save us. So if there's swordfish in your freezer right now, or on your favorite restaurant's menu, just take a moment. Ask yourself if there might be something better. Kinder. Safer. And remember, food is more than nutrition. It's memory. It's emotion. But most of all, it's a message we send to our bodies, every single day. Let that message be one of care. A few weeks ago, I saw something that made me pause. I was sitting in a small sushi bar with my cousin Jacob. He'd brought our aunt out for lunch. She's 73 and had just celebrated her retirement. She smiled proudly, ordered her favorite dish, and pointed to a glossy slice of deep red tuna on the menu. "That one," she said. "It's smooth, tender. I could eat it every week." I glanced down at the label. Big Eye tuna. It looked beautiful on the plate. Rich in color, carefully sliced, placed on a bed of rice like a little celebration. But what most people don't know is that Big Eye tuna carries something more than flavor. It carries mercury, and risk. Now, I want to be clear, enjoying good food is part of a full life. Especially in our later years. But some choices, even those made with the best intentions, deserve a second look. And for older adults, Big Eye tuna is one of those choices. Here's why. Big Eye tuna is one of the largest and longest living species of tuna. Like swordfish, it spends years building up toxins from the ocean food chain, mainly mercury. But unlike swordfish, it's often eaten raw, which adds a second layer of risk, bacteria. Our immune systems change as we age. They grow quieter, slower. What might have been harmless at 30 can knock you flat at 70. For seniors, even mild exposure to bacteria like salmonella or listeria from raw tuna can turn into a dangerous infection, especially for those with diabetes, heart conditions, or compromised immune systems. And the problem isn't just the tuna itself. It's how casual we've become with it. Sushi is everywhere now, grocery stores, airport terminals, birthday parties. It's marketed as clean and fresh. And for many, it feels like a healthy choice. But when you're over 60, raw seafood becomes a gamble. A gamble between nourishment and something that might send you to the ER. I remember speaking with a man named Calvin at a senior center event. He was 67, fit, stylish, and loved going out with his friends. "Sushi nights keep me young," he laughed. But a few months ago, after a sashimi platter at a friend's birthday, he ended up in the hospital for 3 days. Bacterial infection. His body just couldn't fight it the way it used to. "That one meal set me back for weeks," he told me. And I had no idea it was the tuna. So what can we do? Well, if you love tuna, you don't have to give it up completely. Instead, choose canned light tuna, often made from skipjack, a smaller species with lower mercury levels. It's safer, more affordable, and much gentler on the body. Mix it into a salad, pair it with whole grain crackers, or even make a warm tuna melt. The comfort is still there, but the risk isn't. And if sushi is something you love, you can still enjoy it, just opt for cooked rolls. Look for options made with shrimp, cooked crab, or vegetarian fillings like avocado and cucumber. You're not missing out. You're evolving. Because evolving doesn't mean giving things up, it means knowing what to hold on to and what to let go of. It means recognizing the difference between what used to work, and what works now. That brings me to the final fish on our list. Imported catfish. Now this one hurts a little, because for so many people I've spoken to, catfish isn't just food. It's childhood. It's backyard fish fries. It's grandpa in the kitchen with flour on his hands and laughter in the air. It's a taste of home. But imported catfish, especially the kind raised in poorly regulated farms overseas, isn't the same fish our families grew up with. Many imported catfish come from regions where water standards are low, and antibiotics are used in excess just to keep the fish alive. Some of those antibiotics are banned in the US, because of the health risks they pose, including antibiotic resistance. For seniors, that's serious. Our bodies already take longer to heal. Our immune response is slower. And if you're exposed to bacteria from catfish raised in contaminated water, your body might not be able to fight back. A woman I met named Dolores, 75, told me she used to buy catfish in bulk from the discount freezer aisle. It was cheap, easy to cook, and reminded me of my husband, she said. But after a few bad reactions, upset stomach, skin rash, even a minor infection, her doctor traced the issue to the imported fish. Now she only buys US farm-raised catfish. It's held to higher standards, raised in cleaner water, and regulated more closely. It costs a little more, she said, but my peace of mind is worth it. And that's what this whole conversation has been about, hasn't it? Peace of mind. You deserve to eat in a way that supports your body, not burdens it. You deserve to enjoy meals that make you feel energized, clear, and steady. You deserve to age with grace, not fear. I know this might feel like a lot. It's not easy to rethink meals you've loved for decades. It's not simple to stand at the seafood counter and wonder if you're doing the right thing. But you don't have to do it all at once. Start small. Choose canned light tuna instead of Big Eye. Ask where the white fish is from when you eat out. Swap out that imported catfish for a US-raised one. These little changes are like stitches. Over time, they weave a new kind of strength into your daily life. And more than that, they send a message to your children. Your grandchildren. The people who love you. They say, I'm still caring for myself. I'm still learning. I'm still choosing. Because age doesn't mean you stop mattering. It means you matter even more. So tonight, before you sleep, take a moment to reflect. Think about what's in your fridge. Think about the meals you've been preparing. Think about the ones you could try, gentler, safer, still full of joy. If there's one thing I hope you carry with you after this video, it's this. You are not powerless. Your health is not behind you. It is still within your reach. And every meal is a chance to move closer to strength, clarity, and peace. Don't let fear guide you. Let love guide you. Let wisdom guide you. Let your own body guide you, because it's been speaking all along. You just have to listen. And when you do, healing begins. For yourself. For those you care for. For the ones who are watching you, quietly learning how to care for themselves too. Because love looks like a fish swap. Love looks like asking questions. Love looks like saying, I want to feel better. I want to live well. And you can. Even now. Especially now.